Welcome to the Pitch Room, where ambition meets opportunity. Join us as we connect investors with visionary companies.
Welcome to the Pitch Room, a series from the Global Investor Network where ambition meets opportunity. Joining us today is Mauricio and Luiz from Rakennus, a pioneer real estate development company from Mexico focused on sustainable urban renovation. Under their leadership, Rakennus has delivered successful projects generating significant value for investors and communities alike. Right. So I welcome Luis and Mao. How are you guys doing?
Fine, thank you. Nice talking to you.
Hello, Because. Much for the invitation.
Yeah, it's a pleasure here. All right, so let's start with talking about Rakennus first. Yeah. So can you please introduce yourself and what do Rakennus do? Yeah.
Of course, it started in 1995 when the financial crisis hit Mexico City with all the bankings, the rates, there were hyperinflations. So this is a family-based company that we started innovating a system of sales where people didn't want to deal with the banks because the interests were at that time very high. We had a large devaluation, so the founder of the company decided to start helping the owners of the buildings that were stocked with people that weren't paying. So he designed a system for people to start paying the buildings, their own apartments and offices, and that's how the business started. With a large crisis, we found the opportunity of lending the people their spaces, paying small amounts of money with inflation, obviously, and it was like a hit. It was one building after other. I was a little bit younger at that time, but after I do my MBA in finances, I incorporated in the company, and we started helping in sales, finding new deals, because really the owners were the buildings were like now, like the offices after the COVID. They were empty. People didn't want to know about banks or mortgages. So we started giving the people spaces for the opportunity for them to buy it in 5-10 years loan. And it was a great success. After, let's say, like 7 years later, the banks came back to the market, the Mexican market, lowered their interest rates, recovered obviously from the 2009 bankruptcy, and they started to give loans. but we always have been in the market of, let's say, used buildings, old buildings. So at that time, there was no government money or banks lending money to people to buy a used property, let's say. Like everything was new developments. So at that time, at like 2006, banks and governments started opening lines for people to buy used properties, and we were very in the market with a lot of properties. So we decided to change, giving the finance to people and start using the money from the markets. No, so our sales started bumping up higher than ever. We started like cashing out all our collections, because we have large collections of people. We sell them to capitalize and keep on buying buildings. At this time, we're talking from that time to these times, we have developed more than 110 buildings in this 30-year era. So now we're combining it with new members, new founders of the company that have more technology knowledge. They have Luis will talk about everything they're implanting, on marketing, on technology, on databases. That now is how the market moves. But the idea we are, it's in the mid market. Our sales average, the ticket is people buying $150,000 for their properties. We practically leave the buildings and the apartments new. We do a complete remodelation of the buildings and the units, and they are very affordable to the market, to the banks. We get access to mortgages, so people can buy and pay us more fast than we used to do before, and that's really the base of the cement of the company. No, we know where to buy. All our operations are in Mexico City. It's a very old city, but obviously with this gentrification that we're having around the world, and everything is going on with commerce, with China, United States, people are coming from other places, because our beaches used to be very attractive to people, but now Mexico City has been like very attractive for the last 3 or 5 years. Like for restaurants, walking, you see a lot of people from the world like to live in Mexico for the climate. And our properties are located in very centric places. So for these people that are walking around these financial areas, we're very close to financial districts, restaurants, big hotels, big buildings. There's a lot of people working around and want to live close to their jobs. So we're very close to these areas. All our buildings are very close to downtown. And obviously, the opportunity to rebuild buildings that are abandoned. It's very opportunistic, because you don't have to travel large distance from your work to these houses. No, that it was a mess also in 2008. All the social housing was a mess, because people had to travel 2 or 3 hours to their job places, leave their houses, and it was a big mess. We always have been in downtown Mexico City, and the prices have been elevated like 10 times as we started, no, and it keeps growing and growing, and now we have a larger market, because foreign people are coming to buy and to establish here in Mexico, because of the distance now with United States, with everything that's going on. So that's what I have to say about the company, our partners, and I will let Luis talk about more about all the developments, all the results of the company, and where are we going, what's our interest on getting closer to larger investors, because this is a business that can keep growing, and I mean, there's a lot of buildings here to purchase, and to keep on remodeling them. So thanks for the opportunity of let us know our company. It has been 30 years of really success, a lot of experiences. We can talk hours about all our purchases. Where have we found the people, the owners? It's very fun. We can talk for hours about every operation. It's very particular because you deal with inheritance, no, with people that inheritance these buildings. So it's not very corporate world, but it becomes very formal when you get the building informed with the papers, taxes, and you put it in the market. It gets very formal.
Yeah.
So it's a business for a long term. Mexico has a lot of opportunities. Of course, we're thinking on expanding to other cities. We have beautiful beaches, obviously, in Mexico City that are very big opportunities for people to purchase an apartment. So we have been in the market for many years and hope to keep in the market for many other years.
Okay,
so thanks again, Vika, for the opportunity, and I will let Luis talk more about everything that's going on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Luis.
Thank you. Now, let me just try to frame what we do in a nutshell.
Okay.
Back in 40s, 50s, 60s, people that start to make a relevant wealth, the only way that they invest or investment vehicles that they find was the multifamily business. Build buildings and then rent the apartments. There aren't mutual funds or whatever and other instruments that we have nowadays. So these people that construct those buildings back at days, now the owners used to be their children. Okay, so our suppliers of buildings are people that have relevant wealth that came from the inheritance. Okay, and when you buy any kind of asset, such as a building or a property, from someone that don't pay for them, okay, they used to sell you for a low market price. Okay, and this is where the opportunity came from. Okay, so okay, and there are a lot of buildings in that situation that built in the 60s. Now the buildings are very deteriorated. As you may know, in the 70s, all around the world, the inflation was very high. Okay? Mexico City wasn't the exception. Okay? As in London, the inflation was almost 100% for many years. And everything. Mexico City was the same. Okay? So government starts to apply rent controls. Okay? What are the results of rent controls? Property owners, the landlord, doesn't want to invest in their own buildings and properties, and maintenance capex came to zero. What are the results? Buildings that nowadays are very deteriorated, okay, but well located. And this is the properties that we flip, okay, and we buy property, then we remodel the buildings seriously. I mean, it's not about just painting. Okay? We remodel buildings. We individualize the property because we buy a one property, just a building, then throw 12 months of construction or remodeling construction. We individualize in each unit and then sell 20 units or 30 units. Okay, for the clients that will live in those apartments. Okay, I think that I hope to give you a clear explanation what we do.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Luis, for your approach. Yeah. Now, while I was learning more about Rakennus, and I somehow got to know that you guys have a focus on affordable housing in densely populated area, right?
Yeah.
So
We
can you please
no, yeah.
yeah.
You
My question was like, why did you choose particularly this segment where it's highly densely populated? Was it price? Was it, the ROI? Why did you guys especially focus on the such densely populated areas? One, I believe that what Mauricio has just said, that you don't want people to travel. That's one of the reasons, I believe.
we believe in a concept of 15-minute living,
Okay.
where if you are living in this 15 minutes living, your
Mm-hmm.
work needs to be in a 15 minutes commute. Your supermarket, your
Okay.
friends, your your space to go to eat something or dinner or whatever. Okay,
Mm.
if you are living the 15 minutes, you don't need a car, for example. Okay,
Yeah.
95% of our projects doesn't have parking lots. Okay?
Oh.
And in the other hand, the
Mm.
new development, maybe 60% of them has parking spaces
And amenities.
and amenities and so. But what happened? It's not free. No? And this is
Mm.
why price gap is huge in those areas. Okay? And
Mm.
we can offer a product for 100,000, $150,000,
Mm.
or if we meet in square meters, we used to sell in average for projects nowadays in two
2000.
2,500 $2,500, when the new developments are selling one block from there in maybe 3,500. Okay?
Okay.
So remodeling properties and then sell those apartments like new.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it gives you a great like like market opportunity. Sell
Mm.
a good asset for the last client, and he finds a good option in for apartments. Huh?
Because the
Yeah.
building has a very a lot of personality. They have
Mm-hmm.
big lobbies, big stairs. They're not
Mm.
like like a whole unit, like a box of milk. They
Mm.
have a lot of very nice windows, tall buildings, tall apartments, because
Uh-huh.
they're all built. So that gives us a lot of edge against a new one, because we really, as Luis says, we leave them new installations,
Mm.
uh, everything, the windows. It's a profound remodelation, so you cannot see if it's new or old, but the building in itself has personality.
Okay. Yeah.
So that gives us people like to see a tall apartment, big space. There are
Mm.
apartments between 60, 70 square meters. It's
Mm.
like 700 feet. That's
Mm.
like the unit. In average, they can have 2 or 3 bedrooms. We really focus on families, single families, new families. But
Mm.
as Luis says, the thing is to be close to your job and your social living, no, and
Yeah.
it's where now everything is happening. I mean, we saw this effect 20 or 30 years ago, and
Mm.
the reality came to us faster with obviously the COVID and everything. People like to be in their own spaces, to be in their houses.
Mm.
Sometimes we can do a terrace, a small terrace where people can open their windows and stay there. So,
Mm.
but the buildings have used to have that kind of amenities, natural amenities, that now
Mm.
are a real need for people. So it matched very naturally with the actual situation.
Right.
So that's a big edge for us. There's nice
Yes.
constructions, obviously, but the licenses have been very limited for new
Mm.
developers to enter in the market. And for us,
Okay.
that we've been for many years in the market, the
Mm.
people from government know us very well, what we work. They give
Mm-hmm.
us big facilities to keep on doing what we do, because we reactivate the economy, the
Okay.
local economy. We generate taxes for the government. People
Mm.
start paying their bills. instead of being abandoned buildings with criminals. All the social effect we create without saying it, it's huge.
Okay.
We break with that negative social environment. After we remodel, we become a very positive communities. That's very important to mention.
Good, good. Now, speaking of, so I was going through the deck you guys shared, and I found like you guys have over $27 million in sales, right? And also you guys have an investment of more than 41 million, right, in 2023. So, these numbers are huge, yeah. So how do you ensure such consistent performance, right?
We are glad to have the trust of many of our investors. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and we keep finding good opportunities. I could say that nowadays we have
Mm-hmm.
more investment opportunities in all buildings than sufficient capital. No? So that gives us this is a good problem, maybe. And we have the, in our negotiations with the property owners, which used to be some brothers, okay, maybe 5 or 6 brothers, which are the owners of the property that came from the father, give us a kind of, we can negotiate very well, given that because we have more opportunities than money, we can select the ones. Okay, and
there's a big demand. I mean, as I told you, because of the government policies, they have not permitted a lot of licenses. So
Right.
the housing offer in Mexico is very low, and the demand is very high.
Right. Right.
So that's why we can everything we process or we buy, we convert it in gold, because there's a demand 5 times the offer of the properties. There's apartments in sale, used apartments, but they're not remodeled. They're used. That kind of flip doesn't compete with our product, because we put in the market a new product. So the demand is very, very big. There's money in the banks, their mortgages. They're trying to lower the rates, so that helps a lot to people to get and get the mortgage. Now people can buy between 2, 3, 4 friends a property. So there's a lot of facilities to people to buy a property, to rent it. With these products, we know people buy the properties and then put them to rent with all the apps that now are in the market. So it's very active, and Mexico, the developers have not developed what they were supposed. I think we have like more than 1 million housing per year deficit.
Okay.
So it's not even close to the
huge. Yeah.
huge.
Opportunities are huge.
yes,
Now,
That's what gives us an edge also.
yes. And I was just trying to understand more on your investment model. So, can you just, in short, like, can you just explain your investment model and how do you manage your investor relations? Because this is something, everybody is very keen to understand, that how do you manage your investors? Yeah, having such a big portfolio, right?
yeah, totally. And this is one of our key areas where we like to every month stay in communication with our investor base. Okay, so we used to structure every single deal through trust. So, and because the trust it's part of the bank, and we establish a very clear rules of the distributions of the business plan, and everything is well controlled by a third party. That gives our investors great trust in how the business is managed. Okay. Other thing which is key is that because every single deal is separated through different trusts. If one project doesn't perform as expected, that there is nothing happening with the other ones. Okay, so in a nutshell, we used to send every single month reports. We have a consultations. We also have an every single month conference call with investors. Some came and asked questions. Some just received the report. But yeah, this is what we do.
Okay, so that you guys have maintained a kind of transparency, and there's a updated report MIS which is being on time. Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. That's great. Now, I understand and I assume, there could be a lot of potential risk in the business, when there's investments coming in and everything, there's a huge risk. So can you just let me know, like, what are the risks and how you guys are managing those risks or mitigating those risks?
Okay. First, there are many types of risks. No? One risk is the financial risk, which is something which is about leverage, debt, so on. So in that size, we just take debt at 30 up to 35 loan to value, okay? Or 45 up to 55% loan to cost. In our area where we are focused on, the cost of the building used to be almost the same of the construction investment. Okay? So we used to buy the properties with equity, and we used to finance the remodeling through debt. And the debt, it's something that you get disposals as you advance. Okay, so you born the project with zero debt, and when you are in the peak of the debt, it's actually when the building is completely remodeled. This is from one side. Other risk, it's the budget risk, which is very important in the real estate. And the most important by far line of expenditures or of our budget is the construction cost. Okay, and for the construction, we don't construct ourselves. It's a third party where we contract. Okay,
right,
and then we invite to construct the budget to three or four to compete 3 or 4 construction companies.
Okay,
and we close the construction cost at a fixed price. Okay, so from the beginning, we close the budget of the construction cost. So if the construction at the end was more than expected, it is the risk of the contractor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what the two main risks. And the other, maybe the third one, it's the commercial risk that you don't sell the products. Okay, but because we are in the base of the pyramid, social pyramid, and this is where there are millions of people. We are very proud to say that we have had an amazing and outstanding commercial results.
Good performance.
Yes.
Okay. That's good to know. So, okay, if you have to tell me about one project, just one project, I'm sure you guys may have, a lot of projects which you are proud of, but I want to just know like one or maybe two projects which you guys are very proud of, which you think that this is something you should be known by.
Yeah, I could talk about a project that we are about just to finish. In all of projects, we're structured in a way that we invest as a limited partner. We put our money to work as our investors. That used to be around 10% of the total equity. Okay, but we also, as a developers, we charge the project a promote, which is very in line with the performance of the project. Okay, so I can talk you about, let's say, for example, we just finished an offices space very close to Paseo La Reforma. If someone has been in Mexico, they for sure know that avenue, which is
The
not
financial district.
one of the most important. As you know, with the COVID, the office market or the office spaces suffer a lot, and
Yeah.
and which in the office spaces, which ones suffered more was the old office spaces. Okay, so we just bought a couple of years ago an office building constructed back in 1965, I think, and we flipped the building to construct 21 units. And long story short, it was an IRR of more than 38 or up to 40%, and return over investment of almost 100%, and all of this in 24 months.
Okay.
And we are seeing more and more opportunities like this one in the office spaces. The office spaces tend to be owned by a single owner or a single family. And this is very important. We're flipping those kind of buildings. And it's more easy to negotiate with one owner rather than 30 people.
True.
But yeah, I think this is what we are seeing a lot of growth. We like a lot those buildings. And I think that we have opportunities here in Mexico City.
So I would like to speak more on sustainability and innovation. This is something which I believe you guys emphasized. So you have emphasized a lot on energy and water saving in your projects, right? So how do these innovations benefit your business and the communities you serve?
I don't know if you are familiar with it, but the IFC of the World Bank has a certification. The name is Hedge. Okay, it's a global certificate. Okay?
True.
And it's standardized all over the world. We are in the process of certificate almost all our projects. And what is beneficial to us? It's a certification well known by the institutional investors. It's a certification with standards very objective. Okay. And we find, for example, with the banks, better conditions when the project it's certificated by this entity. Our clients find a better opportunity when we communicate the advantages, such as savings in their bills. Okay. And there are three main drivers of this in the sustainability world in the real estate. One is energy in embedded materials, which it's something that we have for granted when we buy an old property, because the materials are there. We don't need to construct much more materials. Okay. Then the other one, it's water. Okay, where we can save water buying the correct accessories for the bathrooms, etc.
Deposits.
And in the energy, we use to the installation of the lights or the boilers rooms are of low energy consumption. But it's something that is not very expensive to implement, and I think that the benefits that all the stakeholders find on it are much greater.
The glass from the windows have these solar filters.
Yes.
Lots of materials now are very light, not very for contamination. So
it's something that we were working on.
Yeah. Having said that, all those glasses and everything, I believe these are technological innovations, right?
Yes.
So, how do they play a crucial role in the operations, like these new innovations and technological innovations in the field of construction?
There is in our field, I don't see, being sincerely, I don't see material innovations.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because the construction, it's not as a construct something from scratch. No, it's
Mm-hmm.
something a little bit more difficult because you need to go for from space to space
adaptations,
adaptations rather than construct something
scratch.
From
from greenfield.
scratch. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Right, right, right.
but the innovation, people something think that in the real estate world there is difficult to innovate, but
Mm,
maybe this is true in the construction, in the hard assets. Okay,
mm,
but for example, we are very focused in innovating in the commercial
mm,
side.
mm,
We capture thousands of leads every month,
mm,
and instead of have hundreds of people uh, answer them,
mm,
we and artificial intelligence tools that answer the questions in social media, and they manage the lead up to assign visit to the building, and then
mm,
real people came and closed the deal. But yeah, we have a lot of innovation in how we
mm.
manage the commercial side of the
The
business.
data.
Okay.
Right, right, right. Now, let's speak about how you guys envision the future, yeah? Like, what's your future vision and growth, yeah? So, would you like to tell us what's your expansion plan and how do you guys even envision growing beyond Mexico City, maybe exploring new type of real estate developments, or are you guys planning anything like that?
I would like to say yes, but I want to be conservative and focus on what we do. As I said at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
one of the advantages of our business is to buy old buildings
Mm,
from the new owners. Okay?
mm,
And something quite idiosyncratic that you only find in Mexico City. This
mm,
is inventory of old buildings owned by the same family.
mm-hmm.
This, this is very hard to find in new
Cities
in new cities, okay? Because the buildings will not be old,
are done by funds.
and the owners are maybe 30% the owners of every
Mm,
single unit. So this is an idiosyncratic business, but fortunately, there are hundreds of old buildings in the city that still there.
And closing the idea of Luis Fe, also in the office spaces, in the real estate, there's Class A buildings, Class B
mm-hmm.
buildings. We're in the Class C buildings. So
Okay.
for that, there's tons of buildings empty right
Mm-hmm.
now, owned by
Mm-hmm.
people that used to live for their rents. Now
Mm-hmm.
they're practically empty or maybe 20% rented. There's a
Mm-hmm.
huge opportunity there because
Mm-hmm.
they're larger buildings than the housing apartments. You can make 50, 100, 200 units, small units in the office spaces. And
Mm-hmm.
there's big facilities from the government to transform them into housing.
Right.
That effect done in many cities like Detroit and cities that were practically abandoned. They used
Mm-hmm.
to change factories from for housing. That effect here in Mexico, it's huge. There's a huge market there to
Mm-hmm.
transform these big buildings. It's
Mm-hmm.
larger investments, no, because our average of building maybe the cost can be $2 or $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe these buildings will go from $5 to $10 million the purchase, but again,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same. It's going to be a low cost per
Mm,
square meter, but
Right.
big amount of land.
Yeah.
So they're larger buildings. It's a huge inventory of that kind to transform them into housing. That it's the demand because offices, the everything everybody's working in their houses. The rents have been in the lower levels for years. So there's a huge opportunity to raise capital to buy that kind of buildings. We see there a big opportunity, and we have done in our past many offices. They were sold as offices, and also it was a big success because people like to buy their spaces rather than rent. So there's another opportunity there also to purchase
Yeah.
buildings and give us the finance to people to buy their small spaces like dentists. There's people from technology that want their spaces, and then they have an opportunity to have their property. But there's
Right.
a big market also, and it's the same effect as Luis said. It's an owner or a family that don't used to live for the rent, and now they're desperate to sell them because they're not making cash flow.
Right. Right. So, now let's speak about one more thing, you guys about the expansion. So, where do you guys see yourself like in coming 5 years? How do you think Rakennus is going to evolve? Yeah, or what's you gonna guys gonna achieve in next 5 years?
Um, uh, still focusing in Mexico City, flipping buildings, selling apartments to, to to the last owners, and implemented. We are trying to implement, as Mauricio said, multifamily rent business, um, but we need to find a better source of capital because there is a structural problem here in Mexico that the cost of capital it's greater than the cap rates. Okay? So
Okay.
difficult to find um, uh,
Funding.
find funding to institutional rents. So I think where we are very sure it is a huge opportunity. There is a very low offer in the renting spaces in Mexico City. So if we find the good structure to implement multifamily rents, will be huge. Good.
Okay, that's good. So, my final questions. Yeah. So now, very important question. What's your message would be for the potential investors and the partners? Yeah.
That there is a huge opportunity again to make flipping investments in Mexico. There is a huge market that has all around the world know, and more than happy to invite you and show you the the city dynamics and why we think we are in the hotspot. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And our own dynamic because we have like 5 or 8 buildings right now that they have in the remodeling process, so people can see that we're for real, we're working and on real time. And what we're looking for is an opportunity to keep growing, to consolidate all these years, consolidate this opportunity because of the nearshoring, all the effects that we're having in Mexico City for the closeness to United States and this commercial war with other countries. People are coming to Mexico to manufacture more, so they have to have housing for their employees for this growth of economy. We're maybe becoming the next Panama Canal, no, to all the logistics for the world, for the commerce on over the sea. So and Mexico has become like very central to to move because of the airports, the infrastructure of the city, and all the other elements that the city gives because of his historic that it has. So and again, I think we have a deficit of at least 10 or 15 years of getting to the demand because there's not much to construct because of the licenses. We see that we need a large group of equity because as Luis says, the equity cost here in Latin America is very high, so the margin is very small. So you need a large amount of money to at least make a differential. But we're not a bank.
Yeah.
We're trying to make a profit. We don't want to live out of fees, no. But we need a huge amount of money to consolidate these properties, to purchase more, have more inventory for many years, because this is a long-term business. We've been 30 years in the market. The product is very likable. It's well proof that the market and the banks accept it. So again, an old city with huge opportunities to create a big fund. We have the infrastructure with the banks, with the trusts. We can generate big trusts to captive big amounts of capital to consolidate the land. I don't see a risk because you're buying a property that continues growing with itself, with the inflation, because we buy very at least 30-40% of the cost of the real market of the property. So that margin is already there. So the only risk could be natural disaster, but and properties are with insurance. So that's the only risk I see in this product, because properties grow itself, and more of these cities that now has big demand of new coming people and the young. It's a very young city. We have like 30-40 million people, like 30 years or less. So it's a big market to continue developing and giving housing, nice housing to people, and avoiding these criminal people, no?
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, guys, for sharing your pitch about your company. It was pleasure to learn, and at the same time, you guys are doing fantastic, and the journey has been, I believe, you know, we can only wish you best of luck, right? And we hope that somebody understands the potential and comes in, and they become a part of your journey, and obviously you both, the company and the investors, grow. Yeah. On those thoughts, I would like to close today's uh, talk. It was wonderful speaking to you guys. You guys, both of you guys have been wonderful. All right, and I wish you best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very much,
Vikas.
Lucas.
Thank you so much, guys.